Hello, my name is Glenn Dyer, and you are watching a Dyer-Situation. Today I'm seeing Patriots Day, which, from my understanding, is a film about the Boston Marathon bombings, or like an investigation into that. Something along those lines. So I'm sure this won't be polarizing or disturbing in any particular way, so let's get right into it. And I'm back. So, that was incredibly suspenseful, and really well done. I guess the reason, I wasn't expecting too much is just, I was expecting pretty much the exact same thing as Deepwater Horizon. It'll be okay, and then be some action stuff, and then I'll forget it next week, whatever. Because it stars Mark Wahlberg, you see. But instead, unlike Deepwater Horizon, where the whole conflict is caused by a bunch of cartoon characters, like, we're the rich oil tycoons, and just keep drilling, whatever, these aren't real people, they're wealthy BP oilmen, who cares? It didn't feel like a real thing that was happening. This movie, it does, to great success. At the beginning of the movie, of course, they're setting everything up, where all the characters are, and what's happening and all that. And as they're doing that, we also see the two guys setting up the bombs and getting ready for their plan. Of course, if you don't know all the details of the marathon bombing, that would actually help in this case, because you don't know exactly what they're gonna do. You just know it's gonna be bad. Admittedly, I didn't like this scene at the very beginning, just because they started playing this music when it entered the terrorist's home, which wasn't really necessary because, in fact, it kind of ruined it in a way, just because we saw his family and stuff, and it looked like a peaceful family home, and then it panned up to his laptop, and he's watching like a jihad instructional video on how to build a nail explosive, it's like, that could have been enough. In fact, that would have been a little better, because we might not have seen that coming. Racial prejudice aside, but, we still, most of the time, probably wouldn't have seen it coming. So, yeah, it bugged me at first, but still, just the very fact that we're seeing that coming, in a way, it just racks up the tension even more, because you're just like, oh god, when's it gonna happen? You know it's gonna happen, but when's it going to happen? And something I really have to give it props for, and this was, honestly, probably the part they could have messed up the most, it was the portrayal of the terrorists themselves. Very, very easy to offend someone, and probably this would offend someone, but I think they did as good a job as anyone could possibly do. These guys are not viewed in any kind of sympathetic light, because they're terrorists, of course, but still, you do get distinct personalities from the two. One is the more hardcore, I totally believe in this cause one, and the other one is more going along with it just because he doesn't even really seem that interested in doing it, but it's what I think it's his brother, that's what he's doing, and that's what he's kind of pressured into doing. And he's still a horrible person too, but you still get a weight of who is the more horrible of them. So yeah, it was great at building up suspension for that part, and I thought, after the bombing themselves happened, which happened pretty early on, that the whole thing would just kind of, breeze on from there, because, come on, what else could possibly be as interesting as that? well, they found something. And it kind of starts raising a whole bunch of questions. Not really answering them, but like it raises them anyway, and it bring about interesting debates, I'm sure, and I'm sure it already has. Not just in the movie, but like what happened in real life. As I said, I don't know all the details. I especially don't know the details of the aftermath, but well, you know, it has to do with how these guys are caught. And essentially, like, these two guys, I don't know if this actually happened, but just two guys armed with a crap ton of homemade bombs are just, like, in a city street and just throwing them everywhere. And just blowing up cop car after cop car, and people are being blasted away, and, like, Jesus Christ, the destruction that two dudes are able to do, it was amazing and horrifying, and wow, did that happen? If it didn't, then oh my god, but if it did, then oh my god. And then there's the other aspect, close. One of them gets away from that, and then they put the city on practical martial law. And then the whole thing just gets really dark. Like, really dark. Even darker than before, and it without directly saying it, and I wouldn't exactly call it subtle, but, like, they start raising questions of how proportional should this response be, exactly? Because the whole city gets shut down, and the wife of the really bad terrorist is captured, and she's being interrogated by this lady who, in order to try and get information out of her, I guess, puts on that, it's not a burqa, I don't think it is, but it's that wrapping that covers the sides of your head, leaves your face exposed, in order to, like, I guess trick the wife into thinking she's also Muslim, and it's really disturbing. And yeah, it's raising, like, all these questions, like, is that okay? I don't think that's okay. And we got a call over the radio, like, that she's been picked up and said, no Mirandas. I'm like, what? No, don't read her Miranda rights. Okay. She tries to leave because she's not under arrest and they won't let her. It's like, oh my god, what? Oh my god, this is horrible. What's going on? And bear in mind, they are not portraying this in a sympathetic light. They are not portraying this as the right thing to do. Mark Wahlberg's character, who is our protagonist, is very opposed to this. But it's happening. And what do you do about it? See what I mean? It raises a whole bunch of questions, doesn't necessarily answer them, it just leaves you to think about it. Because that's where we are, you know? So, yeah, I'd say this is an extremely effective film, and while it is a touch lengthy, I would still recommend checking this out. Just, yeah, extremely well made, and it keeps that suspense going, man. It just goes with it. Really intense. Yeah. 2017's off to a good start, if I'm being honest. So, until next time, I'm Glenn Dyer, and you have been watching A Dire Situation.